main card fighters that we'll be speaking to. We've got Curtis Woodhouse and Adrian King here. Adrian, firstly, you look $1 million. I do want to point that out. It would be unfair not to say that. You're a heavyweight, exciting division. How much does it mean to you to be on a card like this?
It means a lot. Definitely come a long way from the start of my career, and I'm excited to show what I can do.
Amazing. We've got Curtis Woodhouse here as well. Before we get into talking about Adrian King, there's a bit of a Sheffield United connection here between you and Izzy. Izzy, what's it like sitting up here with the Sheffield United legend?
Yeah, one of the guys. Sorry, yeah. 1, 2. Curtis is one of the players that I almost think. Curtis is one of the players that I, like many fans, was a fan favourite. Obviously, being a lifelong Sheffield United fan. When I first went to Bramley, there was still a massive name there. So to kind of be working alongside him on this show, we've kept a relationship. I watched him as a pro boxer, I watched him play football, and now to be promoting the show that he's got a fighter on, is one of them moments you think, wow, how did that happen? But so we just take every step at a time. And Adrian's one of the fighters I've seen him close up. You know, he dresses slick, he can fight, he's got dedication. Curtis believes he's going to be an absolute superstar. He obviously knows no sport. He's been at the highest level of football and boxing. He knows the levels it takes, he knows the commitment it takes, and if somebody like Curtis Woodhouse is dedicating his time away from other stuff, and you know at the time there's not much of a financial gain, people don't realise how much he's actually not making out here. You believe in him, and when somebody like Curtis Woodhouse really believes in him, it makes you gives you that motivation and gives you that belief that this guy's a real deal. But look, he's got a tough task, he's going to have some eyes on him, he's under the lights. You've seen certain fighters don't perform as good, and lights there, pressure's there, you've got commentators, your big names, everybody's watching you, so the pressure's on, but I'm sure he won't disappoint. I'm looking forward to seeing action Saturday night.
And Curtis, you know, we follow you on Twitter and we see how much noise you make about Adrian King. Why is this guy so special? Why have you got so much belief in him?
I mean, I've been on a long journey with Adrian. I first met him when he was 14 years of age. I got a phone call off one of my friends. At the time, I was doing mentoring in schools and in prisons with people that had, you know, going down the wrong path. And I got a phone call off my friend asking me I'd go do some mentoring with a young boy in school who was being bullied. So I went into the classroom, I sat down, the doors opened, and I'm waiting. This sounds terrible, but I'm just going to say it how it is. I'm waiting for this little chubby kid to come walking in with big thick glasses on, and in walks Adrian, 14 years of age, he was 6'4", and I remember thinking, wow, that must be the kid who's bullying the kid that I'm waiting to see. And they wanted me to give him a telling off saying, you're ruining this kid's life, give him a break. And then he sat down. After about 5 seconds, I realised, wow, this is the kid who's being bullied. It was Adrian, and he was having a terrible time in school. And maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'll say it anyway. I said to him, like his mum used to say, listen, go and tell the teacher this, that, and the other, and you know they'll try and help you. And I said, listen, forget that. Let me teach you how to fight. So the next time I went in, I took some pads in. We started hitting the pads, and slowly but surely, he started to get better and better and better. And I know I could end up with egg on my face. I honestly believe that Adrian won the heavyweight champion of the world. I've seen him spar some of the best kids in the world when he's got no experience. He's had 2 amateur fights. On Saturday will be the 7th time he's ever stepped into a boxing ring. And without putting too much pressure on him, you wait till you see him, and then we'll chat after. This kid's a special, special talent, and I think he's going to go all the way.
Adam, you're very well versed in the heavyweight division. We've got a lot of exciting young heavyweights out there. You just heard the words from Curtis. How excited are you to see Adrian King?
Firstly, Alex, it's great to be here. It's great to be back in Hull. A lot of history here. Curtis and I go back a long way. Luke Campbell, Tommy Coyle. It's brilliant to be back here. The heavyweight division is huge at the moment. What a time for a a young fighter, dressed like he is today, and obviously having that sort of that tutorship and the knowledge of someone like Curtis behind him is just fantastic. What a great story as well. You know, someone who was having trouble at school and being put on the right lines and looking after himself, and now look where he is. You know, it's brilliant, an undefeated professional, and it's an incredible time to be a heavyweight. You know, we just every week we have some sort of big heavyweight news in the sport. You know, Fabio Wardley a couple of weeks ago, we were in Ipswich, you know, finding that right hand from somewhere. There's a guy with a pretty big right hand who's in action tomorrow night in America. Deontay Wilder coming back. You know, everyone's waiting what the Fury and AJ will fight. You've got Moses of Town, we're going in with Dillian White. You know, it's just unbelievable at the moment. And then, of course, in 3.5 weeks' time, we've got the biggest fight of the year with Usyk and Dubois. So, yeah, look, he's a baby. You know, just a short amateur career and as a young pro, but step by step, there's dreams, right? And if you're with people like Curtis Woodhouse, you've got a chance. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him. And if he goes about his business, gets the job done on Saturday, and continues to learn, who knows where he can go in this sport. It's really exciting.
Well, I don't think that it needs any more selling after what Curtis said about you, Adrian. But what can the fans expect on Saturday night?
The fans can definitely expect a knockout. That's what I'm going there to do, essentially. Don't have any interest in winning on points. But yeah, that's what you can expect, I guess.
Is he? Fancy a knockout?
Yeah, what you're asking next, is he going to get a knockout bonus? Is that what's coming
You
next?
can read my mind. I just saw some eyes light up out there when I
Let's
just mentioned knockout bonus.
Yeah, help me. I think for more than that, there'll be double knockout for that suit. Now, I've heard he gets his suits looked after anyway. We normally, traditional GBM, we like to give knockout bonuses. Let's see how the night goes. Yeah, and hopefully you'll be collecting that Saturday.
Whoa, if there's a knockout bonus, I'm his manager, I want 25%.
I bet you do. I've never met a manager who will take 25%. Now I'm looking forward to having him on. You know, Curtis is a friend of mine, somebody I've, you know, like I said, I keep saying I've looked up to him. I'm a lifelong Sheffield United fan. We know he's a fan favourite. I watched him box, watched him win the British title, and now he's putting all his faith and time into Adrian. He's got a lot of support, so I'm excited. I love seeing the heavyweight division, and I believe the way the dynamics of heavyweight is, you're 1 or 2 wins away from being back in the mix. Look what Dave Allen did recently. You know, forgotten about name. He's gone out and beat Johnny Fisher twice, in my opinion, and now he's in the mix with the big boys. And Adrian, hoping that we are at exciting times, and with the stuff happening in the Middle East, you know, eyes are on you, Adrian. I'm looking forward to seeing your journey, and particularly Saturday night.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Can I just say quickly before and I know what you're saying there, it's so easy to get carried away, but he's only 20. So the reason why I've kind of kept him under the radar is because I want him to take his time. You know, it's like sometimes you can push people too quickly and they end up moving too quick, they end up getting in a position too quickly. And I know because Adrian hits so hard and he's so exciting, and people don't want to push him really, really quick. It's important that I do the best for him and make sure he takes his time. And by the time he gets to 22, 23, that's when I think it'll be. Unfortunately, at some point you've got to go, there you go. But the next 2 years for him are going to be about development and getting him into position. I mean, he's 20 years of age, he weighs 250 pounds, so but he's still physically, he's a baby. He only started shaving 6 months ago. So, you know, he is still a baby. And he's probably going to end up 280 pounds. So I just want to make sure that we, as a management team, do the best job we can for him. And then when he is ready, let's see where he can go.
Okay, it's just a question on a personal note. I know fighters suffer a lot when they've been in the kind of prime of their lives, and top, you know, being in fighters and all the limelight and the, you know, all the kind of notice they get. What was it like for you when you left the game as a footballer, as a fighter? Did you find yourself comfort straight away in coaching, or is it something like Adrian who brings you back that joyful time? Because it could be a really lonely space when you leave a sport, when you're playing in prime like you did. How do you kind of find your fulfillment, and has Adrian give you that hope again?
I was very fortunate that as soon as I opened my own boxing gym. So I was still getting the buzz and still getting the fix. And what I love about boxing is you never know who's going to walk through your door. And Adrian, like you said, I spend my every day with him, really. I always say to him, Adrian needs to unify the heavyweight division just for me to break even at the moment. But I enjoy spending my time with him. I enjoy spending my time with young, ambitious people. It doesn't matter whether it's in sport, in business. I love being around that vibe of people that are trying to get better, trying to better themselves. I think it makes you feel a lot younger than what you are. Even though when I wake up in the morning, everything hurts, you know, I still feel young when I'm working with young kids.
Can I just say as well, Izzy, I know you know Curtis is a Sheffield United fan, but you know I went through his whole boxing career, and this guy had an amazing journey. You saw Mike's respect for him there. You know, this footballer that became a boxer and went to become a British champion. It's an incredible story. Boxing's all about stories. It's all about tales. It's a fantastic one, going from a 14-year-old kid being bullied at school to dreams of becoming a heavyweight champion. It's a wonderful story. So listen, wish you the best of luck, because you're with a good guy here. He's been there, he's seen it, he's done it. He's done it in 2 sports, which is pretty special.
Thank you.
Thank you, Curtis. Thank you, Adrian.
Thanks, guys.
Gentlemen, we've got some real talent up here, some fantastic talent, and some really good action ahead Saturday night in Hull. I'm really excited about this guy over here. I mean, he's been lighting up the scene since he turned over. Gradus Kraus, I don't know if you guys know him. If you don't, watch him on Saturday night. He's been guided by one of the wisest, one of the most knowledgeable, one of the nicest guys in boxing, in Peter Fury, who's sat just over there. He couldn't be in better hands. So Gradus Kraus is undefeated. Really excited. Sean McComb just next to me as well. World-class fighter. Don't know if you saw his matchup at Arnold Barboza Jr. last year. An absolute disgraceful decision, a robbery. And listen, we're going to get Sean McComb back on track. They've got very, very good opponents over on this side of the table, which Alex and Izzy will talk about now. But yeah, for me, I'm just really, really excited that these guys are part of GBM.
Yeah, Adam, one of the things I got into boxing promotion were to work with kids like Gradus Kraus and Sean McComb. I believe they're the real deal. I believe they're going to go all the way. I was fortunate enough to be in Amsterdam last weekend to watch Gratus, and the sport out there is immense. The popularity, the oneness of Gradus Kraus is huge, and I believe it could be a massive name, really can. And I think they'll get behind him. I think they need a star. Traditionally, the judge have always followed the kickboxing route, and I know his father, Albert, who also competed in the kickboxing and kind of sport, but I think boxing, there's a need, and there's a kind of space there for a huge star, and I believe Gradus Kraus is one of them, but he's got a tough fight Saturday night. This is a hungry fighter, determined fight. I didn't realise that at all. He would probably wouldn't have took the fight, Ross, if he knew that. But he's a huge lad, and he's just come off a big win, a massive win, beating a 17-year-old kid. So I'd say this is the toughest test for Gradus Kraus, but we believe he's a real deal. Me, Peter Fury's father, believe he's going to go all the way to win multiple world titles. And if that's the case, he's got to get past some people like Ross. But that's not disrespect to Ross in any way whatsoever. I understand he's took this fight quite quickly. Where, I give you credit, Ross. A lot of people in Europe didn't want to know Gradus Kraus. When we phone up and say Gradus, we only get to the GR bit and they cut it off. It's good. They don't want to know. And he's credit to you for taking the fight.
He's more experienced, he's got a very good professional record, he's been in with the likes of Vidal Riley, as you say, he's coming off a very, very good win. Listen, this is what we want to see, right? We want to see the young talent coming through in big tests. It's a big opportunity for us as well.
So let's start with that then, because Ross, we spoke on the phone the other day, and you said you are here to steal the thunder. You know, this guy's getting all the hype, all the attention that perhaps you think you deserve. When you see that there's a fighter out there like Gradus Kraus getting all this attention, viral moments online, how hungry does that make you to want to take all that?
Yeah, it makes me very hungry. That's why I was so quick to take the opportunity to fight someone like you on a big show, televised. It's a good opportunity for me to show what I'm really about and what I do bring to the table. Because like you say, sometimes there's a lot of fighters that are at the small ball shows that are very talented and don't really get the recognition or the eyes on them that they should. So I'm more than willing and up to the task in front of me. I know he's a great fighter. I've watched him. I can see he's very flashy, very skilled. So it's going to be a really good fight, but I do believe what I bring to the table is going to be enough to get the victory on the night.
And what do you base that on? Because with all due respect, Gratus hasn't been out of the second round, he's just been knocking them over. So how much can you look at what he's done so far, and what makes you so confident?
I just know exactly what you said. He hasn't been out the second round. When you look at the guys that he's boxing, no disrespect to them, there's levels in boxing. I know that I've lost myself, but I've lost to quite decent opponents. I've shared the ring with a lot of decent fighters, so I know where my level's at. And from what I see, the guys that he's beat, I look at them and think I'd probably do the same. So I don't look at that and feel any type of way. I just know on the night that as long as I bring my A game, he ain't going to look like he's looked at them other fights.
Do you feel like you need to be cautious of Gratus in rounds 1 and 2 then?
Yeah, of course. You can see he's very fast twitch, he's very sharp. I'm not going to give too much away game plan wise, but yeah, it'd be an idiot to try and just run straight into someone like that. So that being said, I also know that I'm a big, awkward, strong guy myself. So, let's see how it looks when we match in the middle.
Gratus, I guess based on what Ross is saying there, that your opponents have perhaps made you look levels above and he thinks he'd do the same to them, do you feel like now is the right time for you to step up? Do you feel like now is the right time for you to step up in terms of level of opposition?
Yes, I want to fight to everybody, so I can't wait to fight a good opponent, so I'm happy with it.
And like I just said, you haven't been out of the second round, all your fights have finished very early. Do you think you've got what it takes to go later on with people with more experience?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, we will see something.
Gratus, I hope so as well.
You definitely hope so. Izzy, I'm going to ask you about Gradus Kraus now. Obviously, he looks the part, he can fight, all of the above. We all know this already. But what makes you so confident that this is the guy you really want to get behind and see go to the top?
First of all, I was going to touch on something Ross said, and I totally understand this, being around boxing for over 20 odd years. There's a great saying in boxing, records are for DJs. And I don't look at the losses because people don't sometimes realise what calibre fighters you've been in, what weight you were at, what state of mind you were in that fight as well. This is not an easy fight for Gradus Kraus. I'm promoting him, but I believe he's going to go to the top, and I believe this could be a tasty fight. This could steal it. I've seen how hungry Ross is. I know the numbers. I know how quickly he took it, and I know it's not just about a payday here. Obviously, we're not going to disclose what he's getting. That's a personal thing, but he took this fight for more than money. And this is when I know as a promoter, it's a telltale sign. He's come to win. He's come to steal the show, and look, he wants to be on these big fights, and we believe Gradus Kraus is a real deal. He's got all the flair, so he spars some world-class operators, and a very dear friend of mine, Peter Fury, who I've known for a long, long time, well before boxing, when he puts so much emphasis and time into people, and he tells them this is the real deal, and I watch him myself, and I see the kind of fan base we can go on in, and the skill set, you haven't seen the best Gradus Kraus yet, you really haven't. You see him knocking over, but I think the more game opponent comes, the better level of opponents, the more skill set you see of Gradus Kraus, and he's not just he hits extremely hard. I don't think I've ever seen anybody hit so hard on pads. I was in the changing room for his second fight, and the calmest, most strongest hitting pad man somebody hitting pads I've ever seen. But you'll see some more, and I think Saturday night you could see something else from Gradus Kraus, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a close fight, and he's got to be switched on. If he's not switched on, we've got a very hungry young man here. And I think he could be up there with Stephen the fight. Like he said, he wants to steal the thunder. And Gratus, we believe, is a future superstar. So it's a great fight to make as a promoter.
And when a fighter like Ross accepts a fight that's on paper extremely risky, 6 fights, 6 knockouts, does that make you question it? Maybe Ross might have his number, or he might have a game plan devised to beat a fighter like Gradus Kraus.
Now Ross believes in himself. He's just beat a kid who's 17-0, is that right?
Yeah.
He's beat a kid, he's a Southern area champion, current champion. He believes himself, he's got the momentum. He's in this game to prove people that he's more than just being on certain shows. And this opportunity is a massive opportunity. Maybe, Gratus has got more to lose. The pressure's maybe on Gratus because we built him as the next star, and he's in the home corner, we're supporting him. But we're going to see how Gratus deals with the situation, because there's different elements of fighters I want to see, and I think this is going to be a cracking fight. I was glad to get it over the line because we kept getting opponents knocked back for Gratus, and Ross took it, and I think Gradus Kraus and Mcwigan is going to be a cracking fight Saturday night.
Adam, you saw Gradus Kraus fighting live for the first time at your call. Can you tell the people what that was like from the ring walk to the finish? What's it like watching Gradus Kraus from the very side of the ring?
He ticks a few boxes, Alex, and that's what we like to see, right? He's obviously got an incredibly interesting background. He's very skillful. As Izzy said, he hits really hard. If you're going to go and blast opponents out, you're going to get noticed. We love knockouts. His ring walk's pretty cool. Again, if you haven't seen it, you're in for a nice surprise Saturday night. He looks the part. He's got great backing around him. And also the other thing is a superstar from Holland, right? I mean, boxing's not massive over there, and I think if this goes well, we could see something really interesting happening. You know, the whole global scene in boxing is changing, and quite dramatically changing over the course of the last sort of few months. We're reading this morning about Adrian King in Germany in the autumn. If we go over with Gratus and build something in the Netherlands, that would be really cool. But yeah, look, it's step by step. I'm glad he's taken an opponent like Ross. I think it's a really good fight at this stage of his career, and it tells me that he wants to make it in this business, because you've got to take risks. You're on DAZN. It's a Saturday night. This is why the opportunity knocks as well. It's fantastic. So yeah, I'm expecting a really good performance from both of these guys, and let's see what happens. And if we get some excitement that we've seen already from Gratus, we're in for a fantastic night. I think a great fight.
And finally, before we ask for both of your predictions, Gratus, just tell me what it's been like in your camps, having both your father and Peter Fury there for you. What kind of self-belief does that give you?
Yeah, I know what I can do, so...
So having Peter and your father both supporting you, how much does it mean to you to have these two people behind you?
Yeah, I'm happy with Peter and my dad. So my dad trained me when I born. I trained always with my dad, and now also with Peter, and I'm really happy with it.
So Ross, I'm going to start with you. Saturday night against Gradus Kraus, this undefeated 6-0, 6 knockouts fighter. Tell me how it goes down.
A win. Simple. There's nothing else that can happen. I just have to win this fight.
Are you going to give me any more?
No.
Gratus, Saturday night, what's your prediction?
Yeah, let them wait and you see Saturday what's comes.
Thank you guys.
One question for you, brothers. You're not going to give any prediction on your fight. Can you give us a bit of a hint of what ring walk you're going to do this time? Because I believe you did over 1.6 million views on DAZN with your ring walk last time in the UK. Give us some indication what's going to happen this time.
Yeah, again with my daughter, and we do again a dance.
You're going to keep it quiet to what dance or music?
Yeah.
Is that a surprise?
Yeah.
Looks like she's just resting before the dance.
Guys, Saturday night, you might not see many great fights with these two, but you'll see a great dance walk, ring walk with a young lady with a sleeve. So looking forward to that, and yeah, good luck, guys. And last note on taking, you mentioned, Adam, about taking opponents. The only issue I've had with Peter and Albert is they argue with me constantly about not pushing quick enough. So I normally get a fight where they say, oh, it's too much of a big task. They go in the opposite way. I'm saying slow down, Gratus. They're like, no, we want the best. They've mentioned names who are now at British level, been at world level, fringe fighters, light heavyweights in the UK. They've mentioned names constantly, but it's nice to the promoter, but sometimes I've got to like play two games. I'm trying to hold Gratus back, but we believe in the real deal, so this is going to kind of show what levels you're at.
But I think that's great ambition. Look at what Moses Attown's doing, right? You know, he wants these big fights. If you're good enough, you're good enough. Yeah. And sometimes I think you need to take your time. We had Adrian King up here before, not much amateur experience. And sometimes if you're young, if you're 18, 19, 20, you've got time. But hey, if they believe in this guy, let's go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Good luck Saturday night, guys. Ross, guys.
And I think that moves us on nicely to a fighter who has been on the big stage before, in Sean McComb, who faces Alexis Torres on Saturday night. Sean, I don't want to go over the Arnold Barboza fight, which has been spoken about enough, but 40 months off, you're coming back on Saturday night. How are you feeling? Is it added pressure? Do you feel any difference going into the fight?
No, listen, I enjoy boxing. I train all year round. I keep myself busy with training and sparring. and there's no pressure. It's, as I say, I enjoy the sport, and I know how good I am. I know what I'm capable of doing, and all platforms for me are the same, because once you get into that squared circle, nothing else matters.
And Adam, you know how fickle boxing can be at times in terms of out of sight, out of mind. And 14 months off, some people forget just how good Sean McComb is. How good is Sean McComb?
I think he's excellent. I was actually sitting in the TalkSport studio that night when he lost, in quotes, to Arnold Barboza Jr. And I really thought it was a terrible decision. I really did. So I want to talk about that. I know you said it, enough's been said. This guy should be really, really feared on the world scene now, right? And he didn't get that decision. It was a bad one. Okay, Arnold came over here, he did what he did with Jack Catterall and deserved that night. But for that fight, that was a bad one for me. You know, he should have gone on. There's been some inactivity. He's been waiting for his opportunity. He's giving him that opportunity. I think he's excited to get a new platform. He's back on the zone. I think it's going to be a great time now for Sean. He's got to go and prove that that was what he's all about, and that he's not mentally sort of affected by a decision like that. He's got so much quality about him, and I really believe he can be a massive, massive player in this super lightweight division. And it's a really packed division. You look just domestically, you know, we've got so many great fighters: the Dalton Smith, Adam Z, the likes of Jack Catterall, who's moving up now against Harlan Eubank. But it's just so many great fighters, and Sean's very much part of that. I think he can become a world champion. I really do.
Izzy, you've got some friends in the super lightweight division. Sean McComb probably wants to fight them.
Yeah, I know what he said this, yeah. Some good friends, but listen, he's committed to me, and I keep saying as a promoter, you commit to me, I commit to you. He's shown the loyalty to me and shown the trust in my promotional skills. And I believe we're going to get him back mixing there with the big boys. We've got a great plan. This is obviously going to be no easy fight, because we're a bit of rest, and we've got a hungry, determined looking opponent who's dressed absolutely sleek top to bottom. So I know he's looking like me, like, what am I freaking saying to him? But yeah, we're all good, yeah. And I think Sean's going to be mixing with them guys, and you know, 140 they can all have it, but let's get past that. Yeah, there's some great fights that we've made, and we've obviously got offers already, because I know he's been back in the mix. And sometimes, Sean, you can be forgotten in boxing when you're not active, and this activity is going to be bringing you back in the mix. And I believe, you know, they can all have it if they want.
Of course, listen, I'm here, and I'm in this sport. I've dedicated 20 plus years to my life to this sport. I've performed at the highest level as an amateur. I've performed at the highest level as a professional, and the only thing it's missing now is a world title. So activity is going to push me right back on the world scene, and I'm going to make a statement once I get to that.
When we announced your signing, Sean, obviously I've never mentioned this to you before, but I was inundated with messages from people who know boxing, well-respected, saying, this is the most talented fighter in the whole of Ireland. That was a message of constant getting the praise, what a fighter. So you've got support from a lot of people from the Irish community who know boxing, who are very passionate about the sport, know the sport in depth. They believe you're one of the most talented fighters in the country. I believe you're going to be a world champion. I won't be investing in you in signing time if we didn't feel like you were just coming back for a few wins. We've got to get back in the action, get back in the mix, and I think it's a great division to be in, 140.
Yeah, 100%. We've mentioned some names there before. I think I've called them all out on Twitter with no joy. But listen, this is now the fun starts, because now I've got some promotional backing for the first time in my career. Thanks to you, Izzy. And listen, it can only make exciting times. And
who's on top of that list, Sean, before I go carry on? Who's on top of that list of the names?
Listen, whoever wants it, I've called Dalton Smith, Pierce REA, Adam Azim, they can all have it. Listen, they know, they see me, they see my name pop up on Twitter, and they go missing, they go hiding. But listen, as you say, it's a good activity. Getting back out, I've got a tough fight on Saturday night. I've watched Torres, I've watched him, he's a southpaw, tricky opponent. Yeah. I've never underestimated anyone in my life. I know there's a task at hand, and I know I need to bring on my A game to overcome that task, and then we can start talking about titles and start talking about bigger names.
And we know that on Saturday night, Alexis Torres, he will be there, he's going to come straight out and try and get you then. The ring rust, is that a factor you're thinking about? Because it has been 14 months, and we do speak about banana skins in this game all the time. How are you going to make sure that you are on your A game from the first bell?
I don't believe in ring rust. I don't believe it exists. I think it's an excuse for people who are inactive within their own training. I haven't been inactive for my own training. I've been sparring. I've been in Amsterdam with Pete Taylor, and we've been bringing in sparring partners. I've been helping Sam Kelly, who was fighting Declan Gary for a nice title. I was helping Paul Ryan, who was fighting Saudi Arabia. So I've been sparring for the whole 14 months that I've been inactive. And most of those spars are harder. They're harder than most fights. So there's no activity. There's a lot of thinking involved in them spars. There's a lot of preparation involved in them spars. And as I said already, they're a lot harder than most fights.
And when you did sign Sean, obviously there were discussions about what he wants to achieve in this sport, because he's been to that top level. I'm sure he wants to get back there. What kind of promises do you make? What kind of roadmap do you set out for Sean McComb?
We want to go to the top, it's not a secret. One of the things me and Sean's managerial team spoke about is he's never had a promoter who actually backed him and believed in him and pushed him. You know, he's got a role to play as a fighter. My job as a promoter to make sure you get pushed out there, make sure everybody knows how good you are, and get you the right fights, working with your managerial team. He's never had that. It's the first time you've seen Sean McComb, got the backing, got the support, got a platform that he doesn't need to go to other outfits. We're going to build him an outfit on the A side, and he's never really had that where he's willing to go into the Lions Den. But we've got Sean's backing. He's going to be supported by yours, and I think it's going to be a great partnership, and I'm looking forward to Saturday night.
I like the fact that he's got some pressure now, right? Because we've had the list of names: Alan Mazine, Dalton Smith, Jack Rafferty, Pierce O'Leary. You've got to make these now, yeah?
We can make the fight, but it's got to be on our terms, Adam. We're not going running desperate out there. We're supporting him, we're going to back him. He knows that, so we're not looking just for the payday or going to the B side of the corners. We want to be the A side. If a fight comes, we'll take it, but it's got to be right. I've got an obligation as a promoter to make sure the best for Sean's career, and that's what we'll do. But them names, you know, they're good friends of mine. I'm from Sheffield, Don, since I'm known for a young kid. I like him, but if it makes... Whoa.
I don't think that's aimed at me. I hope not.
But listen, we understand boxing, and Sean's got enough experience to understand this is a dangerous opponent. Comes from a part of the world where they're all hungry, they come to fight, they're not going to lie down. Sean, you understand that, and you've got enough professionalism in you to perform Saturday night.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've boxed 3 Argentinians before, and they've been all very, very tough fights. I mean, they come to fight, and I gained a lot of experience in most of them fights. Some of which I think progressed me to that next level. They're very hard men, and there's not an easy night's work in them. And for me, as I said before, I've never overlooked someone. I'm fully focused on Saturday night. I have a task at hand. I have tactics which I need to do to get a good win. And every fight is like a cup final for me. I have to win.
Great mindset. Look forward to Saturday night. Good luck Saturday night, Sean.
Cheers, guys.
So I've just been speaking with Alexis Torres, a bit of a combination between a Spanish GCSE and Google Translate. And basically, Alexis Torres' prediction for Saturday night says he's a fighter, he's not coming to move around, he's going to come to fight and be on it from the first bell. Sean, response to that, please.
Just prepare for some bamboozlement. That even is a word.
I'm not going to try to translate bamboozlement. I don't think that'll work.
No, look, listen, I bring something to the table that I believe most professional fighters lack in, which is feints, movements, and simple jobs. And I'm here to get the rounds. I'm not going to knock anyone out or try and hurt my hands. I'm here to get a good win, a good skillful win, get rounds under the belt again, and get my name back in the mix with big names.
So is that your prediction?
Yep, 100%. Good boxing.
There we go, guys. Izzy, you look like you've got a final word.
Can we get a prediction?
That was the prediction.
What's that?
Ask
him to speak on the match.
Prediction.
I'll translate.
Castellano, esto es castellano, yo soy argentino. Bueno, mañana vamos a venir acá, ¿no? Vamos a dejar todo, como siempre, como acá en combate. Vengo preparado, vengo con actividad, ¿no? Que acá es lo principal, la actividad, la continuación de pelea, ¿me entendés? Y bueno, ahí creo que voy a tener una ventaja, yo yéndolo a buscar, ¿viste? Porque yo soy un fajador, uno que va a buscar la pelea, siempre vivo inteligente. Pero me siento con mucha ganas, con mucha fe. Hace mucho que no peleo, ahora tiene carita de que no pasa nada. Esto es Argentina y acá metemos.
Yeah, I've got that.
Yeah.
I deal with people.
He's coming for a beating. He's coming for a beating.
Sean, as you said, obviously I'm fluent Spanish, so. Well, anyway, he said, I'm going to kick your arse. I watched you in Barbados. You never won that fight, and you're going to send you back to Belfast without the win. And he goes, I've seen it all before. I'm slotting you, and I'm ready for you. You're ready prepared, and I'm going to kick your arse Saturday night.
There we go. I'm looking forward to it.
There we go, right, I think it's time for a face-off. We'll start with Gratus and Mcwigan. Okay. Adam, this fight feels like...
I've got something to say just before you get me in trouble. We have got a Spanish translator for Saturday night. It's one of the rules of British boxing mode. We can't afford any more fines for it. Just in case.
Adam,
Yes.
this fight feels like it's been in the works for quite a long time, because I guess it has in a roundabout way. Tell the people about this fight, this main event.
Well, I mean, it's the European title, that's the most important thing. It means a huge amount. I think I'm right in saying, I mean, two Brits fighting for the European light heavyweight title hasn't happened since 1999, when Crawford Ashley and Clinton Woods met. The light heavyweight division has always been a big favourite of mine, Alex, over the years. One of my heroes was John Conte, who held that belt. This fight, the belt has been there, we just haven't seen a fight yet, and both of them have had really difficult years. We saw Shakan go through very difficult personal circumstances to get a really good win at the beginning of the year, get a stoppage win, but then of course he couldn't fight for it next time. Brad had a fight out in Saudi that got cancelled in February. He was then ready at just a few days' notice to come in York Hall. That Daniel Dos Santos pulled out, so it's been a merry-go-round and it's been really difficult. I think there were about 7, 8 light heavyweights in York Hall at that night who would have been ready to go in and fight for it. We've got two of the best right here. I think this is a fight which is splitting opinion. I think Shakan Pitters, some people would say, is a favourite because of his natural light heavyweight size. Obviously he has the experience of going in with big names, former British champion too. But I've seen a lot of Brad Ray. He has moved up in weight, but he's now coming off, I think it's 6 wins, is it, Brad, in a row, and he's a fantastic fighter. So I think this is a really interesting matchup. I've seen a lot of people that think Brad wins this, that he's fresher. Shakan is very dedicated. So I wouldn't read anything into his age. Inactivity, I think it's just got everything. It's got jeopardy. I think it'll be a really, really great 50-50 fight for a meaningful title and a fantastic top of the bill on DAZN.
Yeah, I think the poll that we put out the other day does stand at about 51% to 49%, which should say how close people think this fight is. I'm not going to say, I'll wait till the end. Wait till Sunday morning. So whenever you tell us about these fights, and we always automatically look for the storylines and narratives that go into them, this fight just, it sells itself because of all the drama and the lead up to it. I think one of the main points about this fight is whose story is it to tell, whose timeline is it? Is it Shakan Pitters, who's overcome all that personal adversity to get this opportunity? Or is it Brad Ray, the hungry light heavyweight coming through, who's also had his fair share of hard luck? I guess the question is, I'm not going to ask you for your prediction, but how much do you think these fighters, how much emotion is going to go into this fight on Saturday night? Because both of these fighters have been through so much.
It feels like this is a long time coming. Not just with Brad and Shaq, as myself as a promoter. This must be a fourth time I'm trying to promote this belt, trying to get there. So I want to get to fourth time. I just want to get to Friday afternoon. I want the guys to win. And I said to Brad earlier on, I've been tense all week. I just want this to get ahead and go through. And it's a great fight. This is our 17th fight believe it or not, ladies and gents. 17th show we put on in, you know, space of 3 years. We've had unbelievable growth, and I put this up there with the best top of the bill I've done. This is a cracking fight, serious fight, light heavyweight, European title, real position that to be, I believe, one of the most hottest divisions in world boxing like that, light heavies. And I think this is a great fight, really is, and it's a close one to call. I'm just looking forward to it. I'm almost going to get in fan mode for this because I think it's equally posed. Obviously, we promote Shakan Pictures, and I've said it, made it no secret. It's the most dangerous, most focused Shakan Pictures I've ever seen in his last performance. Yeah, he was somebody with a losing record, but obviously the guy who never gets stopped. I think once in 34 fights. Shakan put him away, and he's a true athlete. And Adam said about inactivity and age, but people like Shakan Pictures are always in the gym. Every time I met him, he's in shape. He's never out of shape. He's constantly training. Similar to Sean McComb, he's a true dedicated athlete and professional. And the age is not going to be the factor. I think it's one of them nights, one of them fights. Who turns up on the night? Who gets it right on the night? It really is that close.
So Shakan, that fight in February, that was a spiteful, vindictive Shakan Pictures in that fight. Is it going to be the same type of Shakan this Saturday, or a slightly different style we should expect?
That's just all the build-up, all the training, all the work I put into the gym. As you said, you know, I had time out, and with that time out, I've managed to work on so many things in my game. Saturday night, everyone will see me put on a clinical display for sure. I've just believed since a lot of things what's gone down with myself, it's probably changed my mindset in a good, you know, I'm aggressive, I'm happy, I'm good with everything, so yeah, it's going to be a good clinical performance.
I think sometimes when you see matchups, you might question the hunger of certain fighters going into fights, but I don't think there's any question about how hungry both Brad Ray and Shakan are for this fight. How are you going to make sure you come out on top?
Just by turning up being me, Shakan Pillars, you know, I put in the hard work in the gym. I believe in all the training myself and my team do, and we leave no stones unturned, as I say. For me, building up to this bout, it was bigger than that for me, and it's that same urge I've got inside myself to get this bout and pick this bout up for my old man.
Izzy, before we speak to Brad, just let people into the conversation that you had with Brad at your call on that night, because I know there was a hell of a lot of emotion going into that one. Tell people about that conversation, because I think it'll give a real insight to how it's all unfolded.
Yeah, so we got I've never really spoke about exactly what's happened. Obviously Brad knows the whole story, and we got a phone call at, I think it was 3:15, 4 o'clock, you know, saying Daniel Dos Santos isn't well. And as soon as I got that call, I thought, something doesn't seem right here. So I sent one of my closest, reliable team members, you know, who I know is going to give me the right judgment. He went to the hotel and he said, Daniel is laid there and he's not going to fight. And I go, is he being written off by the doctors? We had to actually call a paramedic from the venue because we couldn't get a doctor out in time, so we had to get a paramedic from the fight venue to go to his hotel room. And he said, as far as I'm concerned, he's eligible to box. So he wasn't written off medically. Daniel Dos Santos' team decided in their own accord that they don't want to fight this fight, and they gave me no reason. They turned the phones off, and that was it. Never spoke to him since. It's a bizarre situation, but this is professional boxing fear. I'm stood there thinking I've spent on all his transport. I've got Brad ready. I've paid for the venue. You've got guys paying for hotel rooms, transport, everything, and you get there and he give you no explanation to why he didn't want to fight. He just turned his phone off. His managerial team just messaged me saying, sorry, we can't do this, and then never spoke to me again. And obviously, when that happened, I had to break the news to Brad. I think at the venue, when it, Brad, I obviously spoke to his managerial team first to say, look, it's not looking good. They don't want this fight. And then Brad come in, he was absolutely devastated. But to be fair, he took it well. He understood that these things happen and there'll be something greater down the line. I think we've got to look at the positive. This is a brilliant fight. Ask me as a broke promoter, ask me as a British promoter, there's nothing beats a good old British dust-up, and this is what you've got. Shakan Pictures versus Brad Ray. And I promised Brad, I said to him, Brad, we will do everything we can to get you for this belt. And I said this, we're not knowing where we're going to go. Credit to the EBU and the Saxon team. They accepted Brad as the challenger with Shakan Pictures, and now he is here, June 28th, live on Zone, top of the bill. Shakan Pictures versus Brad Ray for the light heavyweight European title. Hopefully it's going to be a good story for one of these guys, but I'm just glad we've got Brad back on because he deserves it for taking the fight in such short notice. We're 3 days, you called on a Monday and you were ready to go, didn't question what money you were getting, really ready to fight, ready to take the challenge on. So he deserves this, but this is a great fight, really is.
It is a brilliant fight. Brad, we just got the story of how it all unfolded there, and Izzy did promise you the title shot, and you do have it. How are you going to make sure that this is your story come Saturday night?
You know what, I'm not really buying into all that. It's my story at the end of the day. Look, I've got things that motivate me. Shakan's got things that motivate him. Look, we're both just going to have a fight, and the winner's going to come out on top. It's who's worked harder, who's a better fighter at the end of the day. None of my pull-outs or let-downs matter. As soon as that happened, I was back in the gym, working hard. Like you say, Izzy was a man of his word and delivered, which I'm grateful for, because you didn't have to. You don't have no loyalties to me. You know what I mean? You said you wanted to do it, and you're a man of your word, so I'm grateful for that. But yeah, look, we're just going to get in there Saturday night. We're going to have a fight, and the best man's going to take the European title home.
And here's a tricky, rangy opponent. How do you get your hand raised on Saturday night?
Yeah, it's something I've not had to deal with in a long time. It's usually the other way around, especially down at middleweight. But it's just another obstacle I've got to overcome. He's got many good traits. Shakan, his height and reach is one of them, but it's down to me to take that away from him.
And on Saturday night, obviously, all this hard work will be going into it there. How are you going to keep your head calm? How are you going to keep yourself relaxed? Because you've been waiting so long for this opportunity.
It's easy. I've been doing this since I was 8 years old. This is second nature to me. It's people go to work and type on a laptop or whatever. You know what I mean? I go and have a fight. This is normal. I'm always cool, calm and collected. Yeah.
Adam, it's been a big build-up. This is going to be a very, very exciting fight, isn't it?
I think it is. I really like these guys, and I think that they're exactly what you want into experienced British fighters who deserve an enormous amount of credit. How tough is it, this business, when you have fights and they fall through at a few days' notice, or you get taken off a bill, or there's medical issues. You don't even think about other stuff that goes on behind the scenes. It's really, really tough. But you've got to keep yourself dedicated, disciplined, structured. You've got to have strong mental belief. And these guys do, right? They're very, very good fighters. Not many defeats at all as professionals, in a huge amount of wins between the pair of them. Right, we've got a former British champion here. We've got two guys who could go on and fight for a world title at some stage. And this is a major, major belt, the European belt. I think it sometimes gets disregarded, and there's so much happening in boxing now, but you go back 10, 15, 20, 25 years, serious property that. Clinton Woods did everything the old-fashioned way, British, Commonwealth, European, then fought for a world title. It's the stepping stone of that. This is coveted, and it's a great fight. It's a 50-50 fight, genuinely. I know we can all say, it's a 50-50 this is. I don't know who's going to win. Izzy doesn't know who's going to win. Brad thinks he's going to win. Shakan thinks he's going to win. I don't know. I wonder if they think, am I going to win? I don't know. It's a very, very interesting fight. And that's what we want. The fans get the best fight. DAZN get the best boxing week in, week out. GBM put another great show on. Happy days.
Izzy, even more so than the belt, talk to me about the jeopardy of this fight. What's at stake when both fighters are in their careers right now?
I think we should get a coaching team involved and get our questions there, see what weaknesses see in opposition. Start with Gradus team. What do you reckon, Alex?
Andy, is your microphone on?
Hello. We can't have them sat up here.
Andy, Izzy wants me to stir the pot a little bit, I think. So, in terms of Shakan's camp and preparation and everything you see that he's done in his most recent fight, where do you think Brad has the edge on him?
Truthfully, I've watched probably, this is no word of a lie, a couple of minutes of Shakan. I just focus on my fighter and what he's doing. I don't worry about the opponents, because he can spend months watching Shakan, he can come with a different game plan. So I look at what I've got in the gym, what he's doing, and I'm confident if he goes out on the night and does what he's been doing, we'll have a successful night.
And the same question over here. Have you done any studying of Brad Ray? Have you watched more than 2 minutes of Brad Ray in preparation for this fight?
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Izzy and GBM, for getting behind Shaq and supporting him. This has been a long road for Shaq. This should have happened, Izzy said 4 times, but it's actually 5 times because he was with another promotional company when this first film got made, which was last February. And, 5 times this should have happened for Shaq. And it hasn't. DeSantos, first of all it was vacant, then they wanted Shaq to go over on 1 week's notice to France, and we said no, and they said, do you mind us boxing somebody else and you'll fight the winner? We said okay, as long as we fight the winner. So then DeSantos fought for it, won it, and then after that, DeSantos got ill, then Shaq got ill, and then Shaq's father passed away, but he was still willing to fight, and then DeSantos got ill again, and then we had to get his last opponent in, then fair play, then Bradley stepped up, then, backwards and forwards. So Shaq's been waiting for this a long time. I know Brad's had a few pull-outs as well, but Shaq's had pull-outs as well. But yeah, regarding studying Brad, yeah, I've known Brad for years, and I've watched his career for years, and a very, very good boxer, can punch, tidy boxer, he's good on the eye. But I think Shaq beats him in every department. He's more experienced than him. Brad has done two 10-rounders. Shaq's done, this will be his 6th, 10th or 12th rounder. Shaq's won every title he's boxed for. And he's boxed at a high level. And I think there's weight divisions for a reason. I mean, I'm not saying he shouldn't be at light heavyweight, because, if he weighs that, he weighs that, but Shaq's a massive light heavyweight, and he's prepared absolutely outstanding for this fight. He's been sparring Gradus there, who's an unbelievable talent. He's sparring everybody like Zach Parker and Kieran Conway and Ben Whittaker, and he's an unbelievable camp for this. And Shaq's fresh at 35. He really is. He's like, he enjoys what he does. So yeah, I think it will be a successful night for Shaq and come Saturday night.
So let's unpack that a bit then. So in terms of the experience that Shakan has in terms of longer round fights and his natural size, do you think that could play a part in the fight?
We've not been training truthfully for a 12-round fight. We never do. We've trained for early fights. That's just been honest. So there's no surprise in what we're coming for on Saturday. We've made it clear what we're coming for on Saturday. And yeah, I'm quite confident.
So I guess I don't need to ask the prediction quite yet, but Shakan, you're coming up against a fighter who doesn't want to get paid for overtime. He's going to try and get you out of there. Does that change things?
Don't change anything for me. I do what I gotta do. I'm also a fighter when I have my opponents. I ain't trying to do overtime or anything neither, and I can punch and all that, so it makes a good fight. I look forward to it.
Izzy, this changes things a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. No surprise when we made this fight. I know there won't be that much giving back and forth. The quality operators, Brad knows he's good, Shakan knows he's good. These kind of fights don't need to slag each other for press conference. As much as guys, I want you to chuck the tables and everything, but I understand there's levels of people who know boxing, know these guys can fight. This is a quality fight. That really has got pedigree to be a cracking fight.
And this is both looking for knockouts.
Yeah, and I believe they're confident. I know Brad Ray's, I've watched a lot of Brad, I've known Brad for a while. He's got that snap and punch, but Shakan Pitters, I know this is a different level of Shakan Pitters, or people have seen maybe over the 4 or 5 years. He's found a new lease of life, or just new hunger, some kind of mindset change, Shakan. And I don't know if it was your father, bless his soul, who played a role in that, but it's just a different Shakan Pitters. But look, they're like heavyweights, they're 12 stone 7, they can all punch. Everybody can punch with them 10-ounce gloves on, it hurts. But I think his clash of styles to a certain degree won't surprise me. I'm really sitting on the fence for this. Obviously, I said I believe if Shakan comes like he did last time, I edge for Shakan, but I'm not surprised in any result Saturday night. I think it's a great fight, great top of the card. One I'm really privileged to be promoting. The kind of fights I got into this game for, these kind of fights, these kind of belts, this kind of level. And I think Saturday night's going to be a special night for myself, promotion outfit, Shakan Pitters and Brad Bates. It's going to be a cracking fight and one And I believe don't blink, kind of, because it's going to be on the edge. I know Brad's will come in. I know the kind of game plan, but I also know the kind of mindset Shakan and his team and belief he's got. So yeah, excited, really excited.
And Adam, unless you've got anything to add, ask the fighters for their predictions.
No, I just want to say I'm glad it's happening for both of you. I really am. I think it's, as I said before, it's a hard business, and these guys have shown incredible fortitude, really. You know, to stick with it. We're halfway through the year, and they both had a shocker. They both had a nightmare, but you wouldn't see it. Look at them. Look how fit they look. They're going to give us a fantastic fight Saturday night. I'm not sure it goes the distance either. I think a lot of light heavyweight fights don't, and this is great. The first time in 26 years we've had two Brits fighting for that beautiful European 12 stone 7 belt. Listen, may the best man win, and I want to see an absolute firecracker Saturday night.
Bradley, what happens on Saturday night?
I win on points. Well, I'm just there for that's what boxing's about. It's the aim of the game. I'm coming to try and knock you out. Shakan, you're trying to do the same to me. You know what I mean? It's boxing. But look, I'm confident I'm going to get the job done, and I'm going to get the job done before the final bell.
Shakan, prediction?
Shakan Pillars win. Again, I'm confident that I'll get the win. By all means necessary. Put my body through the trenches, do everything I can, and we're ready to lift this belt.
Brilliant. Thank you guys. Let's have a face-off.